Very good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Monday Motivation with Eugene Wood and myself, Sunil Osman. If you are watching this on TikTok, thank you very much for joining us here. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to click on subscribe and a bell notification so you can be notified of all the topics which we covered. If you're watching this on IGTV, subscribe, share with your friends, and we cover various topics related to life, love, and business from a personal perspective. And we have a producer based all the way in Australia. Her name is Maria, and she has put great topics together for us. We don't ever speak about anything we cannot relate to, so none of this is a thumbs up. Eugene, what are we speaking about today?
The importance of communication. I think we all can probably struggle in how well we relate to this, because communication is key, but a lot of us struggle to communicate properly. So it's a good topic.
It is. It's so important. Communication is important, not just when the Wi-Fi doesn't work, but also when you talk to one another. And we'll be speaking about the importance of communication straight after this.
Sunny Motive, written by Sunil Osman, uses and explains motivational quotes to encourage readers of all ages to take bold steps in life, love, and business. Order your copy now by emailing Lauren Moy Publishing on sales@laurenmoypublishing.com. Also available on takealot.com and amazon.com.
Cool. Yeah.
So if you are joining for the first time, the reason we do that straight after this and take a break is because we put in ads, and that is for Influencer SA on YouTube and also on IGTV, which I didn't mention in the beginning, but we will do it again. So should we go straight into it, bro?
Let's just get it. Yeah.
All right. I can see my door. There we go. All right, welcome back to Monday Motivation with Eugene Wood and myself, Sunil Osman. We are speaking about the importance of communication. Now, before we speak about that, we have to speak about what communication is. And I've got my notes right here because I needed these notes to be communicated to me in order to put this topic together. Here's a little example. So what is communication exactly? Communication is about how you express your ideas or your feelings or your emotions. It is so important when it comes to life, love, and business. You need to be able to communicate properly. Communication back in the day, when I say back in the day, I'm talking about a good 5, 10, 15 years ago, compared to today, has changed drastically. And we still need to understand the emotions and thoughts of others. Right, Eugene?
100%. Yeah, like funny you say how it's completely changed. I remember just before I left to go to the UK, I was like, I don't want a mobile phone. And I went over. The only way you could contact me was either at work or at my house. It was the best year. Like, communication with the outside world was really hard, but it was amazing for me until someone bought me a phone that year for Christmas. And now communication's in the palm of my hand all the time. It's literally, I'm staring at it right now. So how communication has changed, because I'm sure pretty much when I was a kid, like, we used to even write letters and communicate that way. But yes, as you say, how that relates to other people's feelings is also what we are talking about today, not just the actual form of communication.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember I had a pen pal. Do you remember pen pals? I had a pen pal back in the day. That's how we used to communicate. Never on the phone, only via letters. I had so many pen pals around the world. And now it's changed. It's changed the way we communicate. But what communication does, it actually also decides whether you're going to have some sort of affection or hatred, and it builds relationships. Now, when we speak about relationships, not just speaking about boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, and wife relationships, we're talking about business relationships. We're talking about relationships just between people. And what we've realized is that also with communication these days, the communication has changed in a way that people can't communicate properly anymore because things have been simplified to the point where they don't express everything that they want to express. And it can be a very dangerous game to play because you're then not expressing your full thoughts and feelings. So what are we going to do? How do we resolve the situation when people are not communicating like they used to? They're not having that face-to-face interaction.
I think that's why one of the reasons why so many more people have social anxiety these days. You know what I mean? Like, okay, take 2020 out of the picture. Yes, there was a few more people that had social anxiety, but add 2020 in, and a lot of people, because they've had to stay at home and been locked in, like now it's like, oh, now I need to go out. So now there's potentially, I'm not sure on the actual figures, but I'm pretty sure that there has been a potential increase in how many more people actually suffer from going out and like that social anxiety, like from communication with others now. And
Yeah.
breaking that and learning how to communicate with people again is important.
And the problem is that poor communication leads to things like misunderstandings and even frustration. And what we've also found is that people will communicate so well in the beginning of the building of a relationship or friendship. And when they slip into the social media and just sending text messages, that communication reduces. So then it builds insecurities and breaks trust and all those kind of things. And this is in relationships and business too. So you need to be cognizant, you need to be aware of the fact that when you start a way of communicating with somebody, maintain that communication, because when you break that communication, you build an expectation of a certain communication level, and then you break the level of trust, which is something which we spoke about in our topic last week. Trust and
So
honesty.
it always comes back to that, trust and honesty. But yeah, communication, the communication you have with each other, even if it is just digitally, or if someone phones you, or like there's still communication. Like some people like to video call you so that they can see you as, like, I remember when lockdown first started, everyone was video calling you, and I wasn't used to that. And it was like, now you're kind of like invading my privacy. It felt weird. I had to like kind of adjust because, okay, now all of a sudden there's like 5 or 6 people staring at you on a screen because I wasn't used to that. And that was just how it's changed even from 12 months ago to now. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And on that topic, when you speak about video calls, we can speak about social media itself and how it's changed the way people actually communicate with each other. One thing it has done is that there is no excuse in the world right now not to communicate with somebody. You've got email, you've got text messaging, instant messages, whatever you use. You've got DM
Can I just say,
messages.
please don't send me an email. I'm not going to be impressed. Send me anything else. Just don't send me an email, please. Carry on. No, sorry.
I mean, I know certain people that don't like to read text messages. They prefer getting videos as a form of communication, but it's still a form of communication. Instead of having no communication at all, there is no excuse not to communicate, not to say hello, not to say where we're going for the tequilas, not to say where we're going to meet up. There is no excuse in the world anymore. And you can't say you don't have the time. It takes 5 seconds to say a message saying, hey, how are you? Just want to see how we are on that business proposal that we spoke about. And you'll find that even some people will continue a conversation that they left 2 weeks ago instead of doing the niceties. And I mean, Eugene, you do this, I do this. Instead of going, hey, Eugene, how are you doing? How's your day? You go, this is the next topic. This is what's happening, blah, blah. But that's how we communicate. There is no excuse not to communicate anymore. Something I do, which is very, very interesting. I know somebody that does this now because of me. Every 6 to 8 months, I send out about 300 messages using an instant messenger just to check up on the people I used to be in touch with all the time, to communicate with them that I'm still alive, to find out how they're doing. It's a general message that goes, every 6 months, I send a message out just to see how you're doing, love and light. That's it. Simple as that. Communication is so important. And we speak about social media, got some lovely notes here. And like we said earlier, the only thing about social media is it stops that personal face-to-face interaction. Yes, you and I have got a face-to-face interaction now. Maria, my lady in Australia, who's the producer of the show, we communicate via video chat. There's still that face-to-face, but that physical, that's a new word, that physical face-to-face is not there anymore. And very well put here, character limits are limiting communication.
100%. 100%. You see, also, what we're now able to communicate with people further away through social media. Like, okay, Facebook, Instagram for me wasn't a communication platform. It was people I met along my primary school and high school and here and there. But with TikTok, it's able to allow me to branch out and meet people in Joburg, in America, in the UK, in Australia, branch out to a wider audience. So you're able to communicate with people further away, but you still don't have that human interaction. And finding that balance of, yes, there's still going to be people around you that you're going to have to, not have to, but you need that human interaction at times. Unless you're a super introvert and you like staying at home most of the time. But I still went to my mom for Mother's Day and had that social interaction and had the, you know what I mean? It's important to spend time with others.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, the thing is that when people start communicating using just these short characters, or they don't send the actual face-to-face interactions, you don't have the face-to-face interactions, and it happens too often, then what happens is you start getting frustrated, you start losing, and you're unable to identify emotions. If you look at society, there's a massive gap for people identifying emotion. There's a lack of empathy among so many people right now because there's just not that face-to-face interaction. So you need to find a new way in which to adapt and understand social media communication, instant messaging communication, dual live communication, communication of videos. And then you get the people who falsely communicate how they feel. And that is another thing. That is really, it's so bad. It's something we spoke about when people falsely communicate. Truth and honesty. Are you being honest with yourself? Are you truly communicating to people out there who you really are?
But yeah, communication is key to everything. So I just wanted to put that in there. Sorry, my bad. Carry on.
Yeah. All right. So let's come towards speaking about what good communication is. Whether it's on social media, whether it's face-to-face, whether it is via email, whether it is via instant message or whatever it may be. Got 4 very good points here. Listening. So many people hear, but they don't listen. They hear, but they don't listen. They will cut you off when they're speaking. And I'm guilty of that sometimes too. But you become aware of it. You have to become aware of the fact that you're doing it in order to become an effective communicator. Communication is a skill at the end of the day. Straight talking, telling the person exactly what you want, exactly what you need, exactly where you stand in your business proposal, exactly what your expectations are from a relationship, exactly what you want out of life. And straight talking is not about being rude. It's
Not at
about
all.
being clear. It's about being clear when you communicate what you want. You must be able to understand non-verbal communication. If Eugene started yawning now, I'd understand that he's bored of what I'm speaking about. That's a non-verbal communication right there. Right there. It will help you develop emotional control. So you need to start developing emotional control around the new forms of communication. The old forms are not gone. They've just evolved, and there are more ways to communicate. I can send Eugene an email, which he won't read. I can send him a voice note, which he'll listen to and respond with a shorter one. I will be able to text him. I'll be able to video call him. But you establish the ways in which you are able to communicate with people. So be able to learn how to communicate with people. And again, as I stressed in the very beginning of this chat, when you start a certain way of communication, make sure you stick to it. When I was doing property sales, you find and you establish what your client prefers as the preferred method of communication. Find out what and how the person wants to communicate. Do they not like text messages and want you to send them just videos? Then do that. Don't force them to communicate the way you want to. As bad and as horrible as it may feel, they will ignore you. I've learned that the hard way. They will ignore your messages because you're not communicating the way that they have asked for.
And I think that also brings you to the point of it doesn't even need to be a digital, it doesn't need to be a message or a voice note. It could be an in-person conversation as well. There's certain times where you might be talking to someone and they don't want to hear you. And you might communicate until you're blue in the face. It's not going to change anything. But learning when and when not to communicate, because you should know, or you know what I mean, you've developed like, okay, well, he's not in a good mood or she's not in a good mood. I'm not going to communicate with them any further because I'm not going to get through to them today. And then stopping and then approaching it from a different angle. I'll give you an example about a different angle. Like if I've ever had a fight with someone and they've not wanted to hear what I've had to say, I've actually written everything down, written it down in a letter, and I've given it to them and walked away, because now they're going to read that in their own time. They're going to carry on reading that because they're curious to find out what is actually being said, and they're not going to be able to interrupt you at all. So you're going to be able to express yourself in the best form of communication and then see where things happen. So it doesn't necessarily have to be email, and it can be letters, it can be verbal, it can be anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think on that note, we'll take a very quick break and we'll be right back speaking about importance of communication. Welcome back, everybody. It is Monday Motivation with Eugene Wood and myself, Sunil Osman. We do this live on TikTok, and you can also do the catch-up on YouTube, which is where you may be watching now, or IGTV under Influence SA. The topic right now is the importance of communication, and you come and started watching at the conclusion bit. So, Eugene, what do you have to say in order to conclude for the importance of communication?
I know a lot of the time I start off by saying in the conclusion that this truth and honesty is really important and this is really important. But I'm going to say it again. Communication is important. It's key to who we are and how we develop. Because without communicate, like I never knew how to communicate properly, I must admit. And that's why I was more of an introvert than I am now. Like I'm still an introvert, but I've improved because my level of communication has improved. Yes, it's over a screen, but half the time you get to know these people, and when you meet up, it's like you buddies. You know what I mean? So communicating, and since I've learned to communicate, I've learned to be able to do so much more. And other people have also been drawn in, and you found like your clan and your people and your crew, and that's been the most fun for me, because growing up, I never used to have this many people that I could rely on or call and, hey, Sunil, what's happening? How's it going? Oh, let's talk about this or da. Like, I never had that before, you know what I mean? Because I was always like this, like, dude that just was happy doing my own thing. But through communication, I've learned to be able to build up friendships with people, relationships with people, business with clients, even just communicating with clients, like knowing what they did the weekend and stuff like that. It plays a big role in developing that relationship with that client.
Yeah.
So communication, 100% key to everything we do.
Okay. So in conclusion on this topic, the importance of communication, I would like to say that when it comes to life, love, and business, as Eugene has said, communication is key. But like everybody loves differently, everybody communicates differently. Learn how to communicate, spend time listening, not just hearing. Communicate from the heart when it comes to love and life. Always speak your truth when you are communicating, because lies will get you nowhere. And on that note, I'd like to say thank you to everybody for joining us on Monday Motivation with Eugene Wood and myself, Sunil Osmond. Don't forget to subscribe to YouTube, watch it on IGTV. Our next topic is the wrong and the right lie. Love and light, everybody.
Have a good day, guys.